For the better part of a year now, we've been hurrying to Murray, as they say, and ever since we began coming here, Barry Gentry with the Murray County Chamber of Commerce has said, Julie, I'm going to have you go at Fort Mountain and you are going to love the view. So guess what? Today is our day. Our tour guide is Fred Welch with the Chatsworth City Council. Let's go on a ride and see how beautiful this area is. Well worth the drive up here, Fred. What a gorgeous view from Fort Mountain.
It is fantastic.
So you were telling me, first of all, just in this particular area of Murray County at Fort Mountain, 700,000 visitors a year come to take in this very view.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not just the view. There are then things to do once you're up here, right?
Right. You've got the lake at the park, swimming area, miniature golf. You've got, of course, camper parking, but you have cabins to rent. There's playgrounds, picnic sheds. So there's a lot of activity that goes on up here, not only visitors, but reunions, family get-togethers, those kind of things.
You were sharing with me on the drive up the fact that you're born and raised here.
Yes, ma'am.
In Murray County. You have some friends that live off of the windy, turny road that we took to come up here, but it's changed a bit since you were a kid coming up here. There are more trails.
Yep, the trails have been added, these overlooks. We used to have to make our own overlooks, you know, hold to trees and come down to where you could see. But a lot of new stuff in this area for people to come and visit and see.
Your career almost called you away for a while. You had some opportunities to leave home, but the mountains kept you here. And you see that with the visitors who come from Atlanta. Apparently y'all get a lot of folks coming through on their way to Knoxville for UT games.
Right. We get a lot of flatlanders, as I call them. You know, they're not in the mountains down in middle South Georgia, so they like to come up and see the hills.
Well, it's something that you can take for granted until you've wandered away a bit.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime you have something like this in your backyard, it's very easy to say, well, I know it's there, but have good intentions of going and doing things, but you just don't get around to it sometimes. You
mentioned the cabin rentals that are here on Fort Mountain. It is a state park in Georgia, so they kind of book out quickly.
Yes, they have a limited number of cabins, so we've got a few cabins that have been built off the U.S. Park Service. So those are utilized as well. And so they're building a new RV park here coming up the mountain.
Oh, nice.
And we've got a couple, well, you rent here at the park, but there's also one south going out of town. So a lot more people traveling with RVs since COVID and everything, of course.
You were a great tour guide for me because you explained the topography of the mountain as we were coming up and everything, but you were also telling me a minute ago that you've got Fort Mountain that kind of lies in the middle, if you will, of the county. So much of the tourism that you enjoy here in Murray is because of the national and
Cohutta
state
Wilderness.
land.
Cohutta Wilderness has probably about a third of the county in the north end is national forest lands, hiking trails, Jack's River.
Oh, I used to go to Jack's River as a kid. I didn't realize that was here.
And so we have Fort Mountain in the middle, and then we have Carter's Lake, the dam, largest earthen dam this side of the Mississippi here in Murray County as well.
So you've been on the city council here for 30 some odd years.
32.
32 years, and you're watching it grow. We mentioned before we got in the car to come up here. We've had a chance to come down your way for the better part of a year, and often when we're coming, we're talking with new businesses that are opening up. Often they're local folks who are just opening up new businesses, but you found a kind of that sweet spot, Fred, of being able to grow, but it's very managed.
We're having a lot of folks that come in and visit and like the area so well they're staying, you know, and they may have a business where they're coming from and relocating, or always wanted to do something, you know, and they'll start a business here. So it's taking off with the inland port that we have in the north end of the county. GE just built a new plant several years ago. Got a lot of industry looking at the area, which influx of new folks, which new ideas, new businesses, that helps everybody.
So here we are with the Labor Day weekend upon us. That fall weather will be here before you know it. It was a good 10 degrees, I would argue perhaps even more than that, cooler up here on the mountain.
From downtown to the top of the mountain, usually you can look at it and it'll be at least 10 degrees difference.
What a great way to come and kind of have a weekend getaway. The kids might be back in school, but who cares? If your kids are out of the house, you can come and enjoy it any day of the week. It is a state park, so the hours are like sun up to sundown kind of thing. Is there an entry fee to come in?
Not at the present time. There was back some years ago, but they have since done away with that. The government has picked up and they don't charge anymore. So
there's a difference between Carter's Lake, which is the dam, and then the lake that's here on top of Fort Mountain. Does it have a name?
Conasauga Lake is on top of Grassy Mountain.
Okay.
This is just Fort Mountain Lake.
It's just Fort Mountain Lake. Is it cold water?
It is cold.
Okay. So go into town, stop at one of the local shops that's down there, the restaurants, get you something to go, perhaps bring your own picnic up here. You said when you were a kid, y'all would bring watermelon and enjoy.
Good cold watermelon. They've got picnic tables in the park. Kids eat watermelon and go swing on the swings and slide down the slide.
Well, I know that we're lucky enough in Chattanooga. We call it, of course, the Scenic City, and we have our mountains and they're beautiful. But from the first time we saw Fort Mountain, just the look of it was different, and it beckons you to come up. So thank you for the tour this morning.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you to the Maury County Chamber of Commerce. They're always saying hurry to Maury, and we always hurry when they give us an invitation to come down here. So you jump in your car, convertible or no, and see the splendor of Fort Mountain and the charm of Chatsworth and Eton. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you for coming.